More witnesses continue to appear before the TRC on ex-President Jammeh's alleged human rights violations. The International Monetary Fund has projected a fast economic recovery despite the global economic challenges. And the protesters in Myanmar renewed their call for democracy despite the military continuous killing of people. Well, these and more coming your way on News Desk. Hello, this is Africa TV and many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in detail. And we begin with matters of the TRC where Lamin Kembosh, a former magistrate who appears before the Truth Commission on Tuesday, testified on the arrest and conviction of Halifa Sallah and Sidia Jatta of the Fourier newspaper. According to Mboj, the Fourier case was the first impact of the civic society shortly after the 1994 coup, when a ban was made on the publication of newspapers, but Fourier refused to stop. Amin Dao has more details of that in this report.
As a magistrate on the bench of the state portfolio in 1994, Lamin Kembosh was in charge of the case involving Halifa Sallah and Sidia Jatta, who were arrested and brought to court for not complying with the ban on publication of newspapers in 1994. According to Mr. Mboj, the court used to be full to its capacity as it was the first impact case on civic societies right after the military government came into power. Lamin Mboj said both Halifa and Sidia defended themselves throughout the trial without involving a legal practitioner.
It was a difficult case, to be sincere, because despite the constitutional right of both Sidia, Honorable Sidia and Honorable Halifa Sallah, Bankola nyanto aninna bankola constitutional nyanto mendi Honorable Khalifa Salala and Honorable Sidia Jatta o nyanto be lori nyawnyandi to engage a lawyer or a legal practitioner of their own choice. Ruka lawyer nyini wala lua do kula me ya lonko itelu fongolo be la fila menna, they choose to defend themselves. Itelu mampare wala fongolo le lota purka itelu fongolo kalo ifaye. And the proceedings then goes on a daily basis. And it takes a full day. So we were able to finish the trial within a month.
The witness told the commission that enjoyment of maximum freedom is what was known in the court of law, but during this trial, there was a lot of fear and tension in the atmosphere as the court was guided by armed officers. Mboj said he passed a suspended sentence at the end of the trial, even though the two were guilty of the charged offenses.
What was the outcome? Just for the historical record.
Yes, although they were found guilty of the offenses charged, I refused to pass a custodial, in fact, a conviction on them. Instead, I passed a suspended sentence. If they fail to stop their activities as instructed by the regime, and they appear before the court on the same or similar charges, and the suspended sentence will be handed down on them.
According to the witness, sending the two to jail would have had severe consequences on the civic society by then. That's why he decided to give them a suspended sentence. After his master's, Mboj was posted in Bassa in 1997, where he said to have learned the worst experience of the 22nd July movement. Lamin Kembosh, a native of Nyamina Dankunku, obtained LLB honors in Usman Danfodio University, later enrolled at the Nigerian Law School before he got called to the Gambia bar in February 1994 and started working as a magistrate in May 1994. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Amin Dao.
More witnesses continue to appear before the TRC, and we will bring you more details of today's testimonies in our subsequent news bulletins. Now, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, is predicting an accelerating global economic growth out of the pandemic, but warns that there remains obstacles and uncertainty to the outlook of the economics. In a speech to the Council of Foreign Relations, the IMF Managing Director, Christian Georgieva, outlined the key messages the fund will focus on next week during the spring meeting, bringing together the leadership of its 190 member countries. Here's more details of that.
Assessing the April 6th launch of the World Economic Outlook, International Monetary Fund's Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva announced that the fund projects an upgrade to January's global growth prediction of 5.5% in 2021 due to policy support and improved recovery backed by vaccinations.
In January, we projected global growth at 5.5% in 2021. We now expect a further acceleration, partly because of additional policy support, including the new fiscal package in the United States, partly because of the expected vaccine-powered recovery in many advanced economies later this year. This allows us for an upward revision to our global forecast for this year and for 2022.
She says China and the US are leading in the economic recovery process and will have their GDPs leveled at the end of the year. According to her, the COVID-19 crisis didn't sink the world into a financial crisis because of the measures countries implemented to control the pandemic, but worked together in making banking systems resilient. Kristalina Georgieva is pleased with the improved outlook in the health sector, but encourages speed in vaccine production.
Progress in ending the health crisis could add almost $9 trillion to global GDP by 2025. But the window of opportunity is closing fast. The longer it takes to speed up vaccine production and rollout, the harder it will be to achieve these gains.
The International Monetary Fund boss is confident that the accelerated recovery is pleasing, but could also bring dispensable outcomes such as inflation, rise in interest rates, and tightening of financial conditions. Georgieva further stressed the need for a fair mechanism to redistribute vaccines from surplus countries to deficit ones. Among the mechanisms is the COVAX facility to accelerate vaccinations in poorer countries to protect their health and accelerate the recovery. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
Mariama Cham reporting there as IMF expects an improved economic amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. And from that report, we come back home. Now, the Gambia Armed Forces has promoted officials posted at the Army's headquarters in Banjul to various ranks, including Lance Corporal and Sergeant. The 39 young soldiers were said to have been promoted based on their hard work, dedication of their service to the armed forces and the nation in general. Mariama Cham again in this report.
Contentment is built behind the face masks as they march forward to take their promotional ranks in the form of decoration by senior officials of the armed forces. In the past, promotions in the Gambian armed forces were not based on merit, but on subjective considerations that favored some sections of the army while setting out many deserving ones. Mohamed Ocham, Deputy Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces, says promotion in the army is based on the dedication and loyalty of the officers. Deputy CDS Cham also explained the assessment criteria that prompted their promotions.
Promotion in the Gambia Armed Forces is a merit-based achievement, meaning that you are assessed, you are observed, and then over the period, you are assessed to see whether you deserve to be elevated or not. As they say, your competence is assessed, your loyalty and dedication to duty, all culminating in the board sitting to recommend your promotions. This is so because we want to build a professional armed forces. And the only way you can build a professional armed forces is to reward merit and dedication.
Deputy CDS adds that the armed forces is being built on a civilian-friendly system that will respect the rights and values of Gambians.
We are in the process of building a people-friendly armed forces, an armed forces that respects the democratic norms of the society, respects the human rights of the country, and makes sure that the mandate of the armed forces is also understood. The trainings and the tools that are given to the armed forces are also adequate to meet the task that have been set for the armed forces. So I encourage you to continue to improve yourselves individually and collectively so that you will be able to perform the respective roles that you are currently assigned.
Meanwhile, Sergeant Joseph Mendy, one of the promotees, expressed delight and gratitude to the command for their promotion.
To sum it all, it signifies that command has noticed your long years of hard work, dedication, and selfless sacrifice, and it has rewarded you for it. To my fellow promotees, there is always a sense of privilege being entrusted with a higher rank, and we should be all prepared for new responsibilities.
11 private soldiers were promoted to Lance Corporal, 15 from Lance Corporal to Corporal, and 13 from Corporal to Sergeant. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
All right, more than 30 junior officers of the Gambian forces are promoted to various ranks, and of course, as you had found a report there, the deputy CDS encouraged them to do more so that, there could be more elevations or more promotions in the army. And from that report there, of course, there's more news coming ahead, but we'll now take a break and come back shortly with the remainder of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
They say we slept in one world and woke up in another. This global tragedy got humans together despite our social distancing. Our nature is taking a break. And giving us a wake-up call on what and who truly matters. Look around you. Hold on. Breathe. Count your blessings. Take time for self-renewal, for a better start tomorrow. Soon, life will be back. Meanwhile, let's stand apart together with one heart.
Welcome back, and once again, thanks for joining us. Now, protesters and mourners took to the street of Myanmar on Tuesday, carrying huge baskets topped with rubbish and dumping them on the piles already standing on the street. Now, amid reports of security forces killing 3 people in Yangon just 2 days after 140 people, 14 people were killed on the bloodiest day since the February 1st military coup. Fatmata Kasim tells us more of that in this report.
Reports indicated that a man was killed and several others wounded on Monday when security forces fired live rounds in one Yangon neighborhood. This led to protesters in Yangon launching a garbage strike, peeling up mountains of rubbish along streets in defiance of the military crackdown. At least 114 people were killed across Myanmar on Saturday, which was the deadliest day of the crackdown on protests so far since the military took over last month. The death toll for protesters killed by the military has now topped 500, according to the Assistant Association for Political Prisoners. The EU, US, Canada, and Britain have introduced sanctions, and the US suspended a trade deal with Myanmar on Monday. Myanmar, also known as Burma, was under the rule of an oppressive military junta from 1962 to 2011. A gradual liberation began in 2010, leading to free election in 2015 and the installation of a government led by veteran opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi in 2016. In 2017, a deadly crackdown by Myanmar's army on Rohingya Muslims sent more than 500,000 fleeing into Bangladesh. For iAfrica News, I am Fatoumata Kasim.
Myanmar protesters continue to protest against the military rule in their country, despite the continuous killing of the people in the country. And now, finally, leaders of 23 countries and the World Health Organizations have backed an idea to create an international treaty that would help the world deal with future health emergencies like the coronavirus pandemic. The main goal of a new international treaty for pandemic preparedness and response would be a foster a comprehensive multi-sectoral approach to strengthen national, regional and global capacities and resilience to future pandemics. This is again in that report.
According to the world leaders, the treaty will be rooted in the constitution of the World Health Organization, drawing in other relevant organizations key to this endeavor in support of the principle of health for all. The World Health Organization's Director General, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, said the treaty will provide a structure for international cooperation and solidarity.
This treaty would strengthen the implementation of the international health regulations, and critically, it would also provide a framework for international cooperation and solidarity. The key issues it would address could include building resilience to pandemics and other global health emergencies with robust national and global preparedness systems, ensuring timely and equitable access to pandemic countermeasures, including vaccines, supporting sustainable funding and capacity for prevention, detection, and responses to outbreaks, and promote mutual trust.
The European Council President, Charles Michel, acknowledged that the pandemic requires a global approach as no country can fight it alone.
And through this treaty, our main goal is to foster a comprehensive approach to better predict, prevent, and respond to pandemics, to strengthen global capacities and resilience, to ensure fair access to medical solutions, and to bolster international alert systems, data sharing, and cutting-edge medical research.
Dr. Majwa, Assistant Director General of Emergency Preparedness and IHR at WHO, said the treaty might help in covering critical elements of the pandemic response, which were not covered by the international health regulations.
The IHR is a really very powerful legal instrument for preparedness, for alerts, and sharing information on outbreak and epidemic and other health crises, and also for travel measures. The IHR, when it was designed in 2005, doesn't cover some critical element of the response, like President Michel said, the supply chain is not covered by the IHR. The sharing of the virus, the research and development, which is a key to discover and new countermeasures. And the treaty may cover this area to complement the role of the IHR as the legal instrument for preparedness and alert.
The 23rd heads of government and international agencies signaled that a high-level political action is needed to protect the world from future health crises. Although the commentary has been signed by the initiating member countries, reports appear to suggest that there was no indication of any country too soon changing its current approach to the pandemic response. According to reports, China, Russia, and the United States did not join the call for an international treaty. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Daisy Say.
The WHO and partners outlining new measures to deal with future pandemics. Of course, after the world have witnessed what has been a very different effects of the current global pandemic, that's the COVID-19, of course. And with that, we finally bring this news edition to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, you can visit on our website on africa.tv. But for now, though, many thanks for the privilege of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and bye for now.
Gambia may be the smallest country in Africa, but it will host the second gathering of world leaders in 2022. To successfully host the OIC summit and put the Gambia on the global stage, the government of the Gambia set up OIC Gambia to mobilize resources for the implementation of key development and infrastructure projects on a scale never seen before. 20 new roads will be constructed across the country, and the Bertel-Harding Highway will be expanded into a dual carriage highway of 2 lanes on each side from the airport to Sting Corner. All people in the Gambia deserve clean water and a constant flow of electricity. Therefore, an entirely new water system will be constructed, including new transmission and distribution networks to meet the increasing demand. In order to provide a more reliable supply of electricity, the OIC Gambia project will replace and double the capacity